Hello, everybody. My name is Magdalena Lewis, and today I'm going to be running through a lesson plan with you guys for my course titled Colonial America. Now, this lesson is actually from topic 5 of the course, and it is going to be focusing in on slavery in the colonies. The learning objectives for this lesson are students will understand how the slave trade played a major role in the economic development and expansion of the American colonies. The other learning objective will be students will examine the experiences and cultures of the enslaved peoples in the British colonies. Now, both of these objectives do tie into our major learning outcomes for the course, which is how students are exploring race, gender, and class, and how those things affected the lives of all the Americans living in the British colonies. To start off this lesson, I do ask students a few questions that I do expect them to do a think, ink, pair, share. So I will ask students to compare and contrast ancient slavery with forms of slavery that developed in colonial America. And then I do ask them to compare and contrast how this is different from previous types of slavery that existed. What factors allowed the slavery of African Americans to become so bad? What was slavery like for African Americans living in colonial America? And this is really just to get them started on thinking about the topic at hand. And I will give students time to think and write down their thoughts and provide time for them to discuss their responses with their partner and then the entire class. Responses for this think, ink, pair, share should vary. We do have previous readings before, so they can pull from that. And then a lot of them may not be aware of what slavery was like for African Americans living in colonial America, specifically from their perspective. And that's really what this lesson is focusing on today. This lesson is going to be presented to the students using a mixture of flipped classroom and collaborative learning, as well as Socratic questioning. Now, students will be expected to have read the course materials, the readings, prior to coming to class. After our think, ink, pair, share, students are going to break up into groups of 4 to 5, and they are going to be analyzing the primary sources that I provided them online. And again, students should have already read these sources, so this should be much easier for those that did. Students will be filling out the Hippo Analysis Graphic Organizer to help guide them through the analysis of primary sources. And I do have that linked right here. It is from another university, but it is a really good way to have students analyze sources. As students are working in groups, the instructor should be walking around listening to the conversations taking place amongst the learners. The instructor doesn't really have to interject all too often unless they see that students need clarification or assistance. And so they're there if they need help or if they need redirection in the conversation. The readings that they are analyzing are highlighted right here. Are highlighted right here in purple. We do have 5 sources that they are analyzing. Once the groups have completed the Hippo source analysis activity, groups are going to share their findings. This is going to segue us into the instructor starting the Socratic seminar questioning. And some of these Socratic seminar questions that I have are right here, such as what were the effects of slavery shown by the narratives? What were methods of control used by slaveholders to dominate and manipulate slaves? What was revealed about slaves' experiences through these sources? According to the sources, what were ways that slaves were dehumanized, objectified, and marginalized? How has the Atlantic slave trade affected American society today? And our last question would be, in your opinion, why should historians consider enslaved narratives to be essential sources when studying colonial American society? I do provide a rubric for how the Socratic seminar and the seminar reflection are to be graded, and you can see that right here. I would also provide this to the students before starting the Socratic seminar, so that way they can see where they would fall and into what level. The differentiation for this lesson is a blended hybrid learning. The use of digital and in-person teaching allows for a learning environment that caters to the busy schedule of adult learners in the course. The students were able to read the course materials beforehand. They have about a week to do so. Collaborative learning, students collaborate with their peers on educational topics and learning from one another. The exit ticket or the closure would be a one-page handwritten reflection of the seminar. And again, this is mostly opinion based, but you are looking for how reflective the writing is to the arguments and comments being made during the Socratic questioning. I do have my reflection here, and I do feel like this lesson was pretty straightforward. I do think it talks about an important aspect of American history that is sometimes overlooked. The only thing that I would change about this lesson is that I would carve out time for students to share their one-page seminar reflection. Now, of course, not read the whole thing, we don't have time for that, but it is a reflection, so kind of tie it back to the think, ink, pair, share, how they perceived slave narratives and their experiences versus what they think now after reading and interpreting and analyzing those sources. I think that doing this and adding a sharing of the seminar reflection would allow students to discuss and comment on their thoughts and feelings with other students as historians would in an educational conversational setting. So that is it. Thank you very much.